All right, so this is the quiz you guys took on Friday. You can retake it. There's another version available. I don't know. I don't know what to tell y'all. Some of y'all are just going to have to fail because you're not doing the things you need to be doing. So please retake this. So I suggest, number one, you're supposed to do the box method. Uh, there's only a handful of kids who missed that first period. By and large, it was pretty good. I haven't had any of the other classes yet today to tell you how it went. But 2x times an x is going to be 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 is minus twice x. 3 times x is going to be 3x. And then 3 times a negative 1 is negative 3. Now, if you add these two pieces together, you're going to get a positive x. And this is the only term that's got it. And everything else lines up, right? Vertical multiplication, I can think of one or two first period who missed this one. You were supposed to get the first three right. Like you were. Doing 3x minus 1 times x minus 5. This is stuff that I remember doing in 4th and 5th grade, but with numbers. I was hoping you guys would do better on that. Negative 5 times negative 1 is 5. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15x. X times negative 1 is negative x. Notice I'm keeping things together, organizational-wise. X times 3x is 3x squared. And then we just add down. And that was a positive 5, by the way. So there's a negative 16x, a positive 5, and a 3x squared. So choice B. The FOIL method, most kids got it. Wasn't a big deal. You got a 2x squared, right? Which doesn't do you a lick of good. You got a negative 3x, and you got a plus 10x. I did have an alarming number of kids who thought that negative 3 plus 10 was negative 7. It is not. It is 7x. And of course, negative 3 times 5 is minus 15, but it's choice D because that one has the plus 7x. All right, number 4, a lot of kids tried to do this section doing something other than factoring. It says solve by factoring. I'm assuming you know how to read. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this binomial as a trinomial. And I know that factors of 25 are 5 and 5. And the reason I'm using 5 and 5 is because if one of them is negative and one of them is positive, they sum to 0 in the middle. So now by zero product property, x minus 5 is nothing, or x plus 5 is nothing. If we jump equality, we change our signs, and x is either negative 5 or positive 5. And it was multiple select. You had to select two. Number 5, amazingly, I was surprised at how many honors kids missed it. I was also kind of shocked at some of the algebra that y'all came up with that you thought was legit. If a teacher has not shown you how to do it, it's probably not legit. You don't get to make up your own stuff. What I was trying to get you guys to do yesterday before you took this quiz was to get everything set equal to 0, because if you are solving by factoring, everything has to be on one side of equality. You can't have a little bit here and a little bit there. Now, both of these pieces possess a 6x. If I pull a 6x from 6x squared, there is an x remaining. If I pull a 6x from negative 60x, there is negative 10 remaining. There is no x. It's just x minus 10. By ZPP, 6x is a 0, and x minus 10 is a 0. Add 10 to both sides, the x value is 10. Divide out the 6, x would be 0 over 6, and 0 divided by anything is going to be 0. By the way, right there, two answers. We are either 0 or we are 10. 6 and 7 got worse because the factoring had an a value other than 1. But, I made number 6 a prime number. The only way to get a 5x is 5 and 1, or 5x and x. Factors of 18 are going to be, factors of 8 are going to be 2 and 4 in the order that I'm writing them, because the outside is going to make 20 and the inside is going to make 2. Now, if I add 20 and take away 2, I get the positive 18 in the middle. So there's the complete factorization. Now we're going to hit it with the ZPP, zero product property. 5x minus 2 is 0, or x plus 4 is 0. Sadly, I have already graded my first period, which tends to be among my better scores. So I've got a pretty dismal afternoon to look forward to. But anyways, from the first factor, 5x minus 2, x is 2/5, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be right. I want to see some wins, kids. And by shifting the net 4 to the other side, x is -4. All right, moving on to number 7. Of course, you have to get that 3 on the left. 10x squared plus 13x minus 3 is a 0. And the way we're going to make the 10x squared is going to be a 5x and a twice x. And I want to get to 13, so I want a 3 here and a 1 here, because factors of 3 are 1 and 3. The reason I'm choosing that order is that the outside will make 15x and the inside will make twice x. And I need a positive 13. So positive 15 minus the 2. So -1 plus 3. And anywho, by ZPP, 5x minus 1 is a 0, or 2x plus 3 is a 0. If we add 1 to both sides, 5x would be 1. We divide by 5, we shall get 1/5. If we subtract 3 from both sides, twice x is -3, divide by 2, and x is -3/2. So choice is 3 and choice is 4. Oh, the graphing. Oh, it was bad. It was bad. Opposite of what's inside, left 2. Trust what's outside, down 5. Left 2, down 5. That's the vertex. A couple of kids plotted the point and then said the vertex was something else. Anyways, passing through the vertex is what you call the axis of symmetry, and it is literally at x equals -2, because that's the x value there. Here's a 2. A is 2. That's initial slope. Always has been, always will be. Not permanent slope, it's initial slope. So within one block of the vertex, you get to rise 2 and run 1. I did not ask you to find anything else. You were not supposed to find anything else other than domain, range, min or max, and blah, blah, blah. A couple of kids missed domain, bless you. God bless. Range, low y value is right there at -5. And then it rises on either side of the parabola to infinity. The minimum is y equals -5. Ta-da! Take a break after 9. I'm tired. So graph this thing by finding the vertex, the x-intercepts, the y-intercepts, the line of symmetry, and one other point using the line of symmetry. You must show your work for any credit. So I literally gave you the formula for vertex. It's an opposite b over 2a. And opposite of a -6 is a positive 6. It's sitting over twice a. A is the understood 1 right there. And 6 over 2 is 3. Now, what am I going to do with that number? I'm going to plug it back in. So k happens when you plug a 3 in. It's a 3 squared minus 6 times a 3 plus a 5. Now, I talked about this. A lot of kids wrote this and then they got the wrong answer. Like, if you're a button pusher and you know it, be a button pusher. So what do we got? We got 3 squared minus 6 times a 3 plus a 5. I hope it's -4. My brain's just off. It is -4. So we're going to go right 3 and we're going to fall 4. There is our vertex, okay? Now I'm looking at this. This wasn't required, but you see that 1? Rise 1, run 1. Why not? To find an x-intercept, you are finding what we call zeros of an equation. We call them zeros because that's literally what you set the equation equal to, or that's because that's what the output y is. I am replacing y with a 0. So 0 equals x squared minus 6x plus 5. And by God, that factors. It takes an x and an x to create an x squared. It takes a 1 and a 5 to create a 5. If they're both negative, -1 plus -5 is -6. So by ZPP, x would be positive. Well, let me write it out. Some of y'all are a little slow. X minus 1 is a 0, or x minus 5 is 0. Add 1 to both sides, x is 1. Add 5 to both sides, x is 5. If you like ordered pairs, and you should, it would be 1, 0 and 5, 0. 1, 0, 5, 0. The y-intercept, you let x be 0. So the y-intercept is equal to 0 squared minus 6 times a 0 plus a 5. And I've kind of joked about this the last day or so. You should get 5 from that. I saw kids, again, come up with things other than 5. It's 5. As an ordered pair, that's 0, 5. It's the y-intercept. Now, the line of symmetry is right through the vertex, just like she always is. She is at x equals 3. By the line of symmetry, if something is 3 units left, something must also be 3 units right. And I have some extra points here because I just decided to be extra. But there you go. You didn't have to find domain, range, none of that. I'll pause real quick, take myself a break. BRB. All right, my break's over. Y'all still don't understand interval notation, do you? So when I talk about the graph being positive, I'm talking about the stuff above the x-axis. That's what I'm talking about. Now, the interval is going to be the x values that define that piece. When I talk about an interval, it's the x values that create that piece, okay? That piece is created with a left boundary where x is -3. You see it? It says x equals -3 there. And it stops being drawn when x is 5. So that's it. It's -3 to 5. Now, the negativity, which is the next question, over what intervals is f of x less than 0, which means negative, is going to be these guys right here. And I know this is hard for some kids. I do. But this piece right here is drawn for all x values running left forever. And we call that negative infinity. And it stops being drawn when x hits -3 or gets really close to it. This piece starts getting drawn when x is 5, and it never, ever, ever stops being drawn. So I'm looking for that guy right there. Negative infinity to -3 unioned with 5 to positive infinity. And moving forward, number 11, you wish to create a dog run in your backyard. You have 500 feet of fencing. I think about half of first period got this question right. It might have been a little higher than that, but it wasn't that good. And one of the reasons it wasn't that good is just a lot of y'all didn't do your twin. I can't fix that. I cannot fix apathy. There's nothing I can do about apathy. Apathy is something you have to overcome. Anywho, you have 500 foot of fencing material at your disposal. Now, I know I've modeled this question with y'all several times, whether in class or video. But here's your diagram. Fourth side doesn't really exist. And I've always called this width and that length, okay? The perimeter of my almost a rectangle would be 2 widths plus a length. And I know that there's 500 foot of fencing available. So that'd be 500 equals 2 widths plus a length. There's one of your equations. It is a rectangle. And one of you poor first kidders, poor first period kids chose D. I had a kid choose D. I had a kid choose D. That's a triangle, children. That is a triangle. 1/2 base height is a triangle. It is not a rectangle. It is a triangle. I literally put that in there to reduce the number of likely choices, and you picked it. Anyways, rant over. The area of a rectangle is length times width. Those are your two equations. The reason I'm interested in area is because maximize the enclosed area. Using the correct two equations and showing the work, that doesn't mean just typing numbers into a calculator and picking whichever one is the biggest. Determine the dimensions that maximize the area. Talking to you, Jacoby. You had to do algebra. It's just the way it is. So I'm going to take this equation right here, and I'm going to solve it for L. So I'm going to say that the length is 500 minus 2w's. And then just like I've shown, I'm going to take that 500 minus 2w, and you know what? Let's do this a little bit different. Let's go back to your rectangle. You had a width, and this is the length. Maybe this will make more sense to some of y'all. Put it there, substitution. Now, how do you find the area of a rectangle? Area is length times width, so area is 500 minus twice w times the width, w, which is 500 widths minus 2w squared. Now, this thing is not in STD form, standard form. So area is going to be a negative 2w squared plus 500w. Why is it a big deal that I put it in standard form? Because I'm talking about a quadratic. W squared is a quadratic. It's a negative 2w squared, so the graph looks something like this. This point right here is the maximum. And that happens at opposite b over twice a. The vertex always happens at opposite b over twice a. So when I talk about the maximum width, it would be opposite b over twice a. B is 500, a is negative 2. So opposite of a positive 500 is a negative 500, and it's over twice a negative 2. And that ends up being 125. So if this is 125 and that's 125, and I had 500 available, 125 plus 125 is 250. 500 minus 250 is 250. Choice D is the correct answer. 12, bleh. 12 was bad. So anyways, you're rolling toilet paper. It says you're going to throw the toilet paper from a height of 4 feet. So that's the first point on the graph right there. A tree is involved. You're going to roll a tree, just like many of y'all will do here in the next couple of nights. You're going to clear the tree by 1 singular foot. Now the tree is located, you are located 12 feet from the center of the tree. So right here, there's an x value of 12, okay? Which means right here, there's an x value of 12. The tree is 15 feet tall. You clear the tree by a foot. There you go. And that, boys and girls, is your vertex. Now, what you need is you need vertex form, which you had access to your twin, a times x minus h, quantity squared plus k. It's quite surprising to me that y'all still haven't memorized this. I don't know how to fix that. You have to memorize. You have to memorize. You don't want to, but you have to. Memorization makes things easy. I understand that the aspect of memorization might be a little difficult, but in the long run, it makes things easy. So you just do it. There's h, there's k. Y equals a times x minus 12, quantity squared, plus k, which is 16. Now, you need to find a. Now, find a. That's where this guy is important. That's an x and a y. Everywhere I see a y, I'm a 4, and everywhere I see an x, I'm a 0. If I do 0 minus 12 squared, I'm thinking about a negative 12 squared, which is going to be 144. 12 times 12 is 144, always has been, always will be. So I'll have 4 equals 144a plus 16. I had at least one kid add 144 and 16 together. Can't do that. You subtract 16 from both sides. 4 minus 16 is negative 12. So negative 12 equals 144a. Divide out that 144, and you'll get that a is negative 1/12. And an alarming number of children change that to negative 1/2. I don't know why. But anywho, full equation is y equals negative 1/12 of x minus 12 quantity squared plus 16. Oh, I wrote the 12. 1/12 1/12. I said 1/12, but I wrote a half. Guilty of the same thing, apparently. All right, rewrite it in standard form. I think I saw 2 kids write IDK. If something is squared, I've said this repetitively and I'll keep saying it for a long, long time, it means you write it twice. That's what it means. And we'll just do the FOIL method here. X times x is x squared, minus 12x on the inside, minus 12x on the outside, which is negative 24x. And then a negative 12 times negative 12 is plus 144. And it's too early to worry about adding 16. So the next move is going to be to distribute that negative 1/12 in. You'll get negative 1/12 of x squared plus twice x. A 12th of 144 is 12, so minus 12, and then I can worry about the plussing of 16. So negative 1/12 x squared plus twice x plus 4. That's the equation in standard form, children. 3 to go. It's about Johnny. Let me take a quick break. Mentally, I'm exhausted. I think I've had about 2 hours of sleep today. It's a long day. All right, now I'm back. So Johnny was dared to jump off a cliff into the water below. He climbs up a 96-foot cliff, places himself on the edge, jumps hard as he can. Blah, blah, blah. There's your equation. Now what has happened, if you need a picture because you can't visualize, is Johnny is going to jump off a cliff into the water below, which is extremely dangerous. And he's going to jump up and he's going to come down. Okay, and then he's going to go splash. His maximum height happens at the vertex, children, and the vertex is at opposite b over 2a. I didn't say it is, I said it's at opposite b over 2a. So you pick out your a's, your b's, and your c's. A is negative 16, b is 16. So in this case, it's not x equals, it's time equals. The variable is t. T is going to be a negative 16 over twice a negative 16. And a lot of y'all figured that out, and then you acted like you didn't know what to do with it. You know that it takes half a second for him to reach his maximum height. What you have to do is you have to plug that in. The height is going to be a negative 16 times a half squared. I did see at least one kid left off the square. Plus 16 times a half, and then plus 96. And you push buttons in the calculator. Again, push buttons. I don't think you can do it in your head. Prove me wrong, though. And you get 100 foot. He's 100 foot in the air. Determine when Johnny hits the water. When you hit the water, your height is 0. So it's 0 equals. I thought, that the one I did on the twin, like, man, I thought I did an excellent job of explaining that. But I still think I did an excellent job of explaining it. You just did a poor job of understanding it. We'll go with that. We're going to write out 0 equals the equation. We're going to factor. I have told you to always pull a negative. I did not try to trick you. Everything was divisible by 16. If you pull a negative 16 from positive 16, you get a negative. And what I don't understand is you had calculators, and some of you acted like you couldn't figure out how many times 1696. There you go, kids. Minus 6. Now, believe it or not, this thing does factor. To create a t squared, it's going to take a t and a t. To create a 6, it's going to take a 3 and a 2, or a 1 and a 6, but 3 and 2 is where it's at. Negative 3 plus 2 is the understood negative 1 right there. So, that's how she factors. By ZPP, the zero product property, t minus 3 is a 0, or t plus 2 is a 0. If we add 3 to both sides, the time is 3 seconds, or the time is negative 2 seconds if you subtract 2. The real answer is 3 seconds. The extraneous answer is negative 2 seconds. 14, a parabola has a vertex at negative 6, negative 2. Because the vertex was given to you, you should have written down y equals a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. And then you should have plugged those things in here. If you take away a negative, you are always going to be a positive, and you always trust the other one. So when you glance at the problem, you're looking for plus 6 and minus 2, right? You shouldn't have picked A. Should have never been picked. It ain't A. Now, for the umpteenth time, to find A, you take your x and your y and you plug them in. So negative 12 equals A times x is 0 plus 6 squared minus 2. 0 plus 6, kids, is 6. So now it's about what's 6 squared, and that's 36. So there's a 36 married to that A. You need to add 2 to both sides. That's negative 10 equals 36A. You divide both sides by 36, both divisible by 2, and you get that A, it should have done an arrow, A is negative 5/18. Choice D. And the last one, which was supposed to be super duper easy, turns out it wasn't because most kids didn't do it on the twin, is to use general intercept form. Y equals A times x minus p times x minus q. There's p, there's q. If you take away a negative, you shall be positive. Take away a positive, you're going to be negative in parentheses. That's the way I've always explained it. So I'm looking for x plus 1 and x minus 3. Not going to happen. Don't pick B. Part of B was right, not that part. Don't pick B. And just like the one above, I have an x and I have a y that I can plug in, and I can use that to figure out the A value. So everywhere I see a y, I'm a 12, and everywhere I see an x, I'm a 0. Now, 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. So 12 is equal to negative 3 times A. We counteract multiplication through division, and we get that A is negative 4. That makes us choice C, because that negative 4 would be going right there. And that is your quiz, all right? That is as slow as I can possibly do math. If it was still too fast for you, just change the speed that you're playing it back at. Again, if you want to retake this thing, you can. I encourage you to. I do not wish you to fail. Doesn't mean it ain't going to happen. The grade is the grade you earn. You earn it. I don't give it.